You are listening to Rad Rich's Rock and Soul Review on kpft.org, Houston, Texas. This is the first ever Ugly Audio special feature, and tonight I'm going to interview Kyle Gionis. Kyle moved to Houston in 1989 and has played in such bands as Sugar Shack, Welfare Mothers, Weird Party, and currently Poizon Culture. We're going to kick things off with a song handpicked by Kyle. Here are the U-Men with a song called Dig It a Hole.
Take it, baby, take it, baby, take it a hole. Take it, baby, take it, baby, take it a hole. Take it, baby, take it, baby, take it a hole. Take it, baby, take it, baby, take it a hole. Rapping bullets when it's ready to go. Rapping bullets when it's ready to grow. Rapping bullets when it's ready to grow. Rapping bullets when it's ready to go. Rapping bullets when it's ready to grow. Rapping bullets when it's ready to go. Rapping bullets when it's ready to go. Rapping bullets when it's ready to grow. Take it, baby, take it, baby, take it a hole. Take it, baby, take it, baby, take it a hole. Take it, baby, take it, baby, take it a hole. Take it, baby, take it, baby, take it a hole. Looking for daylight. Looking for daylight. Looking for daylight. Looking for daylight. Right. Yeah.
Okay, this is Josh and Kyle. Say hello.
Hello.
All right, and let's start with telling us about where you're from and what brought you to Houston, and basically how you started in playing music and punk rock and everything.
Okay. Well, I was the son of an Air Force person, so I was like a military brat, and I moved around a lot. I was born in Colorado. Then my dad went to Vietnam, and my mom and I moved to Alabama. Then he came back, and he got a graduate degree or whatever, and we moved to Colorado for a while. And then after 5th grade, we moved to Southern California. And that's, where I got into music and stuff. And I stayed there through college, and I met my wife, Vanessa, out there. She was visiting a friend, and I started visiting Houston, because we were kind of dating long distance.
Yeah.
And I loved Houston, so when I graduated from college, I moved out here.
You moved out to California as a kid? Like,
Yeah.
how old were you?
I was like 11.
11. And so being out in California in the early 80s, about what year was that?
So it was 78.
78 when you were 11.
Yes.
So that's a really great time, a great place and time to be getting into music and playing
Yes.
music and stuff.
Yes.
Can you tell us about some of the most notable or earliest shows that you saw out there?
Yeah, sure. So it's funny because it's sort of odd circumstances, but the first show I really went to of my own, wanting to go, was a punk show. It was the Alley Cats and Suburban Lawns. And those are both mask era bands, right? I mean, it's far removed from that time. But the funny thing about it is that they played at Magic Mountain. Magic Mountain used to have these weekend matinee shows.
So Magic Mountain's a theme park?
It's a theme park.
Okay.
That's right. And so in the early 80s, like this was like 81 or 8, I think it was 82, they had shows on, and I was still kind of too young. That was the only kind of shows I could really go to.
Yeah, that's cool that they had them.
It was amazing. And that show was great. So that's a big one just because it's the first time, and those bands are great. So after that, when I got a little older and started going to shows, some of the shows that really blew my mind were, I mean, and it's kind of this weird random mix. The Joneses, for one, you know, I've told you about that before.
Yeah,
like that
definitely.
kind of punk rock and roll band. There weren't a lot of that kind of band at that time, so they were stuck out. They weren't like any other bands that they would play with. You know, they were either not punk enough or they were too punk. You know what I'm saying?
The Joneses.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they were great. And that really opened my eyes to like, oh, yeah, this is why I like rock and roll. This is rock and roll, and I like it. You know what I mean? Then another big one is Einstürzende Neubauten. How do you say Einstürzende Neubauten? That noise band from Germany. So they played, I think it was their first tour. They played at kind of a big show at Perkins Palace. And they, you know, they would bang on metal and all this stuff. And they were doing jackhammers on sheet metal on the stage. And it shot huge sparks in the air, and it lit the curtains on fire.
Holy
so
shit.
They're going, and the people at that place are trying to put them out. It was amazing. It just blew my mind.
How old were you at that show?
I was 17 at that show.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
Yeah, that was really good.
So you were seeing these bands and like kind of discovering, you know, new kinds of music. When did you make the decision to play, you know, pick up a guitar and like, join a band?
Right. So I had taken I liked music, you know, from real young age. And right as I was getting into punk and that kind of thing, I did take some lessons, but I was terrible. I was a terrible student. It really didn't take for me. So I kind of just put the guitar down. But then in college, you know, I was really into going to see bands. And, you know, the more, you know how it is, you see these bands and it's like, I think I can do this too.
Yeah.
So I picked up the guitar again and started playing and started learning for real. And I jammed with some people at school, but we never had a band that gigged. But I did have a band where we did some music on a friend's soundtrack to his movie. So that was pretty cool. But
Then this is back in college, back in California?
Yes.
Wow,
yeah.
that's cool.
You can see it on YouTube. It's by Frank Groh, and it's called Red and Rosie. And it's a short, so it's really easy to watch. It's really good.
Red and Rosie by Frank Groh?
Correct.
Cool.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to check that out. I don't think I've seen that.
It's really good.
All right, we're going to take a quick music break. I specifically picked this live version of Revenge by Black Flag from Decline of Western Civilization for this interview for a special reason. So let's check out the song, and then we'll come back with Kyle.
Okay, this next song is for the LAPD. We got arrested the other night at Blackie's for playing punk rock music. They called us nuisance in Publix or something like that. Anyway, they put us in jail, and this song's called Revenge, and it's for them. It's not my imagination! I gotta go to my bed! Come on, let's go to it! Let me come back! We're gonna get revenge! You all know what it is! We're trying to be screwed! Don't tell me about what... Don't tell me what I get! I can't think of wrong! Just around the corner! And a bad cold blade man! Wait a minute! Revenge! Well, what's simply revenge? That's all me! I will cry if you die! Die! I'm gonna get revenge! You won't know what it's your! We're trying to be screwed! Revenge! Revenge!
Okay, Kyle, so you were lucky enough to see Decline of Western Civilization in the movie theater. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is true.
how old were you?
I mean, I don't remember exactly. I was a teenager. It wasn't exactly right when it came out. I don't want to mislead any. It wasn't
right.
It wasn't January of '80 or whatever.
But it was like a screening of it.
It was a screening in a movie theater. I was a teenager.
That's super cool. Tell us about that.
It was. I mean, first of all, I love The Decline. I love that movie. I'd already seen it on video or whatever, but I wanted, it was awesome to go see it in a movie theater. I was excited. The showing was complete and utter bedlam. Like, it was more out of control than shows were. Like, nobody, like, nothing going, whomever.
So this is a regular movie theater,
It's
right?
a regular movie. Yeah, it's totally a regular movie theater. It is full of nothing but exactly the kind of people that are in the movie. Like, teenage Southern California punks. Destructive. Drugs
Fighting.
are being taken. Fighting is happening. It was the same as being at a show. It was out of control.
Wow. What were the staff doing?
That's the thing. I was trying to think about it. I don't remember even seeing them, which means they were probably staying the heck away from it.
They're probably all up at the front or in the office, just let them. We'll clean up when they're gone.
Yeah, just let the cyclone clear.
You moved to Houston in, what was it, 90, 89?
89.
89? And so you came because you met Vanessa.
Dee, yeah.
And tell us about moving to Houston and eventually joining Sugar Shack.
Yeah, so I was really lucky. Like I said, I loved visiting Houston. I loved Dee. I wanted to move there, so I did. And the great thing for me is, at the time, Andy Wright of the Party Owls and Sugar Shack, of course, was dating Dee's sister, Sassy. So we just got to hang out and became friends. And
so that's how you met them.
That's how I met them.
Wow,
exactly
cool.
right.
Okay.
Exactly right. And Sugar Shack had a guitar player, Austin Thomerson, rest in peace. Unfortunately, he was killed a few years ago. So I wasn't going to join Sugar Shack, but Andy and I had talked about starting another band. Like, we were both really into, like, punk rock garage at that point, like Billy Childish. We were, like, listening to Billy Childish all the time. And I had an apartment right under Andy's, and we would just go out drinking all the time and listen to records real loud. We both got a letter on the same day saying we were going to get kicked out of the apartment. But anyways, I got lucky. They fired the other guitar player, and they asked me to join, and I wasn't really ready for it, to be honest, and I probably
didn't know what you were stepping into.
Yeah,
really?
I mean, I think I just wasn't quite up to snuff playing wise yet, but thankfully they were patient with me. Mark and Andy and JR and Brent at the time was the drummer. Brent Prager of the Cherubs, etc., was the drummer at the time.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that he was in Sugar Shack.
Yeah, nobody ever knows that.
So you and I have had so many discussions about this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Like, so many. I just keep, learning new, very interesting factoids.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
I knew that you guys were tight. I knew y'all knew each other. I just...
Dude, he's on the first recordings I ever did. Brent Prager is the drummer on them.
Oh, wow.
The first recordings I ever did. The first show I ever played, Brent was opening for L7 at the Axiom, and Brent Prager was the drummer of Sugar Shack at that point.
So what were some of the highlights of Sugar Shack? I know you guys went to Australia twice.
Yeah, we went to Australia twice. We had Sugar Shack in the early days had a manager, Dorothy, great person. I'm still very good friends with her. And she really hustled. When they put singles out, she sent them all over, and she sent some to Australia, and people there reacted favorably to them and contacted her and put us in touch with the tour guys, so we got to go, and it was amazing.
Anything you want to talk about from those Australian trips?
Well, I'll tell you
that you can talk about.
As Texans. Australians are very much like Texans. It's weird.
I've heard that before.
And they know it too. They know it. Because they'll tell you,
That's what the insect warfare guys said when they came back from Australia.
Yes.
They were like, it's very Texan there. And they're very into Texas as well as...
Absolutely. It's not that foreign to a Texan. It's weird. They're totally... Okay, so the first time Sugar Shack played, we were trying... JR was still in the band. It's kind of as we're morphing more into a garage band, and we would try to do You're Gonna Miss Me by the 13th Floor Elevators.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could be sloppy, okay? We were drinking a lot there. We could be sloppy. So we slop our way through it at one night in the, I think it was the town of Geelong. And this like literally like 17-year-old girl comes up to Mark, furious, and like, you screwed that all up.
Oh, wow.
You're not fit to lick the spit off of Rocky's beard. You know, like some kind of rant. And we're like
a teenage
sitting,
girl chewed y'all out for not doing the cover good.
of a 13th floor. This is Australia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's
People
awesome.
there are maniacs, and they know what they're talking about. It's great.
So y'all went with JR, and then the second time you went was with
John Gibson.
John Gibson.
John Gibson. Tex.
And he had fans there, right?
Oh my God, dude.
From the skateboarding.
People. So we're like one of the first nights they're there. There's some people that are gonna loan us backline amps, right?
Yeah.
So we go over to their house and we're talking to him, and Johnny's with us. And remember, like Johnny had cut his hair. He didn't look the same as he did sort of in the mega Zorlak, stardom days.
The magazines and stuff.
Right. So one of these kids is standing there, and he looks at Johnny, and it dawns on him, and he's like, "You're Tex.
Yeah.
You're Tex." And the kid is like gonna hyperventilate. I mean, like he was gonna like
Michael Jackson.
He needed to sit
style.
down.
Wow.
It was, and people all over did that. It was crazy. It was crazy.
It wasn't like a known thing that like Johnny Tex Gibson, professional skater, is in this band.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone had pushed it because I don't think the music-related people kind of thought about it.
Sugar Shack was obviously like a very successful, popular band for being a punk band, not being rock stars, but just being an actual punk rock band. It's one of Houston. It's definitely one of Houston's pride and joy.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You I never cried, never stayed up thinking, just wondering why. I'm just hugging my pillow, money, when you coming back? Oh no, no way, no me, I'm none of that. I never loved you, I never cared, I never ran by your house to see if you were there. Never drank up in the whiskey and slept on your love. Nah, no way, none of that shit going on. No! You might think I'm cracking up, but that's just not the case. You might think I'm broken up behind this happy face. You know why I'm stocking up on stairs and razor blades. Goodbye, cruel world. You might think I'm cracking up, but that's just not the case. You might think I'm rocking up behind this happy face. You know why I'm stocking up on stadiums and razor blades. I never loved you, I never hated you, I never my corner, I was never your curve. Never begged or pleaded, never made no friends. I will follow through on that, you can bet. Goodbye, cruel world. I'm gonna do it this way and see. I got my stockpile of cities and razor blades. It's not gonna hurt a bit. No, I don't even think you're gonna miss me, are you? Well, I'm gonna go. See ya.
Since Sugar Shack, I've been lucky enough to play with you. We're still playing together. But also tell us about Weird Party.
Weird Party was a band that kind of had Steven, the drummer, and I used to joke that God hates us because bad stuff would happen to us, and it was kind of like we deserved it because everyone in that band was just behaving I wasn't really. I'm too old for that. But everyone in that band was behaving terribly, and it just sort of it reaped what it sowed.
Karma would come back quickly
Yes.
with,
Yes.
with the band.
Karma was a quick mistress for Weird Party.
Hell, they both sound great to me.
Weird Party around for?
Well, I guess I think our first show was like in March of 2010, and I think we played until right before you and I started jamming in Poizon, which was I think about the middle of 2014.
Mid 2014, yeah. Like 6 months before I moved. I
Right.
hastily moved to New Orleans. Being in another city for the first 4 years we were together, 3.5 of those years we were like, doing it all crazy like that.
Yeah, but we had to. It worked perfectly with the people that were in it. I mean, you're an important part of the band, so.
So the band, me and Kyle playing together, it's called Poizon Culture. We recently changed. We recently added the culture for our new record to come out and everything, and to just be easier to identify as a band.
That's right.
Yeah, just started jamming. Me, you, Halston, and Sean.
Yep. That's how it's always been.
Same lineup.
Yep.
Back in mid 2014.
See, we're the opposite of Weird Party. God loves us.
Yeah, and has kept us
Together.
God has kept us together. At one point, your son Donovan was playing with us. Donovan, who was in his teens,
Yep.
Halston, who was in his 20s.
Yep.
I was in my 30s. Sean in his 40s, and you were in your 50s.
That's right.
And well, how was that playing with Donovan?
I thought that was amazing. It was fun. I mean, it's quite a, like you said, it's almost like some weird Guinness Book of. I mean, it's not, but you know what I mean. It's like a notable fact that we did it.
And it's the thing you and him are going to be able to look
Exactly.
back on.
Exactly.
That's
And
very,
you know what?
very, very cool.
He used footage of that. You know how kids apply to college online? He actually put footage of us playing together at
Oh, cool.
Walters in his college app.
Oh wow!
So probably helped him get into college.
Yeah, yeah. We've been around since mid 2014.
I know.
Most of that time was spent with me either in New Orleans or Austin. I moved back. It's coming up on 3 years.
Yeah.
And we've been making it a point to practice like a normal band, and that's what we've been doing. And we just finished our third record.
Yes, which I gotta get working on getting that out. So it's our best stuff by far for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's one of my proudest moments in my 29 years of being in band. Listening to this record I'm so excited about it.
I can totally stand listening to it repeatedly, which is hard. I can hardly ever say about things I'm on.
It's called Scam Likely, and it'll be out eventually.
Yes.
Throw me into
Kyle, is there anything else you want to add?
No, well, no, just other than, we talked about coming to Houston, and I love Houston, and I love the idea of you talking to different people. Hopefully, you can continue doing this because
Yeah, I hope so
like
too.
we were talking about, Houston is such an underdocumented scene from forever.
Yeah,
And it's
I agree.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I really think there needs to be more documentation because I think people would actually find it interesting. It's a great city.